Welcome to my very first weekly sewing vlog. I want to start doing these weekly vlogs as a way to have more connection with you guys in between finishing major projects. Over the past year or so, I've put out a lot less videos, and that's because my life has just gotten busier. I wasn't doing a whole lot of sewing in the run up to my wedding next October, other than working on the wedding dress, but I wasn't doing a whole lot of sewing because I was doing all kinds of other, wedding planning things. And so I just released the video for the wedding dress, which was awesome. I'm so glad I got it done. But another thing that happened in the past year that meant a lot less sewing was last summer, we got a puppy. And I'll put some footage on the screen now to introduce you guys to her. She's not with me in the room right now because if she was, she'd be crawling all over me and clamoring for attention and be very distracting. But I'm sure she will show up in lots of other videos down the line in this series, so I can't wait. She is the absolute sweetest little dog. She's such a good girl. She wasn't planned at all. She was found by a coworker of mine in a parking lot all by herself at 3 months old. So my husband and I took her in. She was adorable, so sweet, but she was a lot of work, especially in the early days. I mean, not to compare her to having a child, because I'm sure it's nothing as much as having a child, but before she was potty trained, I felt like I was going insane from lack of sleep. Like, we were just getting up every couple of hours, like, has she peed in the house? Has she pooped in the house? I wiped up so much poo, so much pee. Like, oh my gosh, it was insane. So that happened, and I really didn't do any sewing pretty much for the first full year since we got her, because then even after she was potty trained, she requires a lot of attention. She's a big cuddler. We call her an aggressive cuddler because she will not take no for an answer. And now that she's a little bit older, I am working with her on being more independent and like letting me actually get up to do things and self-occupying a little bit more, and she is getting a lot better, which is why I've started to sew again, which is why I think that I have time to do this weekly vlog series now. So it's all a process, and I'm very glad we got her. Around the same time though, I also got back into dancing ballet, and that took up a lot of time because I was participating in a showcase for my studio, so I was going to rehearsal a ton. Coincidentally, I am currently also preparing for this year's showcase, so I don't know what makes me think that I have more time now, but apparently I'm managing it better, and I don't have a puppy. And I'm not also trying to plan a wedding, so there is that. So yeah, I have been really getting back into sewing. I've got a lot of exciting projects that I'm going to be doing, and I want to start bringing you guys along for the ride again. But I want to have an avenue to have a little bit more of a casual time. So I see these weekly vlogs as, a little bit more chit-chatty, less information giving, and more detailed on the sewing construction. Like, you guys will get to see what I'm working on and how long it's actually taking me to do things. And you'll get to see sort of more in real time what troubles I'm facing and how I'm troubleshooting them. Because I think when I do my project recap videos, I do talk about the struggles, and I let you guys see a little bit of that. But because I've already solved the problem, I think sometimes it can be like, oh yeah, I had this problem and then I just did this and then it was fine. When really in the moment, sometimes it can be very frustrating, and I might try, 2, 3, 4 things to fix it before I actually end up landing on a thing that works. So hopefully that troubleshooting process is something that you guys find interesting. I know I get a lot of comments on my videos that people enjoy seeing that even as much as they are seeing it in my current videos. So hopefully you guys will enjoy seeing that. And I'm really excited about this. I'm excited to document the sewing process for myself and see, oh yeah, like this week I really did a lot, or this week I didn't do a lot, but it's because, you know, I had events to go to and, you know, social things, or I had a lot of dance that week, or whatever it is. So I think it will be good for my mental health as well, and not being so hard on myself. This is perhaps not the best time to be starting a sewing vlog because I am currently in the very middle of a project which I have not been filming. I started this project when I thought, oh, I just want to get back into sewing. I'm not gonna have time to video edit and do all the YouTube stuff. I'm just gonna do a project for myself. And it's an 1840s dress. If you are following me on Instagram, you've likely seen all the updates and process photos along the way there. So we're gonna jump in the middle of this project. But I am gonna make a video on the accessories that I'm making for the dress. So hopefully you guys will get to see the process of finishing the dress and making the accessories, and then that will tie into like a nice pretty, you know, reveal project video at the end where you'll get to see the gown and the accessories together. So it'll also hopefully give me a little bit practice into this format of making videos before I start, you know, a project from scratch. So sort of, what is it they call it when like restaurants open for the first time? The gentle opening? Soft opening. Yeah, think of this as like a soft opening for the weekly sewing vlog series. So the plan is to upload these videos on Fridays, so you will get to see all the work that I've done from from Friday to the following Friday. If I upload on Friday, that means I've probably edited on Thursday. So Friday to Friday. And it'll just kind of be, yeah, like talking, chatting, overcoming obstacles, seeing the sewing process of all the things, seeing me jump around from project to project more. And yeah, you'll get a little bit more insight into what's going on in my life outside of sewing as well, probably too. Okay, so to catch you up on this 1840s dress project, I thought I would show you the pattern that I am using. So it's this one here by Angela Clayton for McCall's. I think it's a pretty popular pattern. I've seen other people make 1840s dresses based off of this, but it's got sort of that fan front kind of detailing. It's got a slight dip at the waist, but it's way more straight across than a lot of 1840s dresses are. And then it's got like the boat neck with the yoke and these sleeves with ruffles. Super cute. There are existing dresses from the time period that are this sort of style, even though it's not what you might typically think of with 1840s. And but I do think that it kind of leans sort of more towards 1830s, 1840s, depending, like super late 1830s, maybe one of the more transitional styles, especially with the sleeves that I am doing. So I am making some changes to this pattern, and actually I'll switch over here to like the drawing because I think this will help me explain it better. So I shortened the bodice here, and I shortened it a little bit up in the yoke as well, meaning I also then shortened the sleeve caps. I'm only doing one ruffle, and then I made these sleeves a lot tighter than the pattern calls for because I just wanted them to be a little bit more fitted on the upper arm and give a little bit more of the 1840s look to them. I do have a lot of Xtan originals that I was looking to for inspiration, which I will pop up on the screen. If you're following my Instagram, you've seen them in my stories as I was kind of going through the design process. But I'm using a striped fabric for my dress, so I wanted to really play off of that by having horizontal stripes paired with vertical stripes. And then I'm also doing a series of bias strips, so the stripes kind of go diagonally across. Oh, and the other change that I made is instead of having the skirt be gathered, I am doing cartridge pleats. First time doing cartridge pleats, and it is more work than gathering, but I absolutely hate gathering. I think it's my least favorite thing to do in all of sewing. So the cartridge pleats, even though it takes longer and it's more work, having a lot more fun with them. So now let's go and actually take a look at where I'm at with the dress so far. All right, so let's take a look at the actual dress. Here it is. Here's that sort of like fan front-esque, the yoke at the top and all the lovely little piping finishing details. Here's those cartridge pleats attached to the piping along the bottom. And then here is my sleeve, so you can see how it's a little bit different. I only have the one ruffle, and then I did like sort of this decorative band on the top instead. But you can see on the inside, because I didn't do this during the patterning stage, I sort of did it like after the fact, I made it a lot smaller than the original because I wanted to be able to attach, well, I wanted it to sit like closer around my bicep one, but I also wanted to be able to attach sleeves to it. So these sleeves are a big part of what makes this dress feel a little bit more late 1830s, because once this part gets attached up underneath the ruffle there, it kind of like balloons out over the elbow here. It hides the seam. Now, from what I can tell, like in extant pieces, they wouldn't have had this seam here. They would have sort of just like tapered down to a narrow part on the lower arm. But I was working with very limited amount of fabric. And also, I think I realized that after I'd already done this. So you can't really tell though from when it's on, because it doesn't sit like this. It sort of like droops down over the seam more. So you really can't tell that there is a seam there. And then this part here is lined with organza to give it like a little bit more body. And I initially thought that I was going to wear like the, what are they called? The sleeve supports underneath here to keep it poofed out more, but I made some and tried it on and it looked horrible. It looks way better just relying on that silk inner lining. And then the last thing that I want to show you about this dress are the last piece of it that is still in progress. This is the bias strips. So there's 1, 2, and then I am in the process of adding the third one on. But so these basically sit on the skirt and give you that sort of diagonal. Oh, and the other fun thing that was something new that I've never done before is I hemmed this using a really wide skirt facing, which the advantage of the skirt facing is that it's a nice neat hem, and then also it's supposed to wear all the dirt and stuff from walking around, and so that you could easily replace it later. Of course, I did this before I had the idea of doing these bias bands, so now my bias bands are stitched on top over it, and I won't be able to remove it. But it's not likely to get that dirty because I'm not actually going to be wearing this day to day like someone in the time period would have. So, oh, and the other thing about the sleeves is the removable bit. So when I have the long sleeve on, it's more of like a day dress look. But then I'm thinking like remove the sleeves and it'll be sort of an evening, more of an evening look. So that is the dress. It's almost done. Now let's talk accessories. So I bought this antique collar off of Etsy, and it's not actually from the 1840s. I think it's more probably from around the turn of the century, like early, maybe very late 1800s, early 1900s. But everything that was older than that and still in wearable condition was way out of my budget. So I think that this will still like give a nice look. I haven't tried it on with the dress yet, so I don't know if it really will look good with the dress, but this was sort of my idea for, I thought for the day look, the super wide boat neck was gonna expose my shoulders too much to the sun, so I kind of wanted something to cover my shoulders. So this is one possibility for that. The other thing that I'm making is I am making a pelerine out of the same fabric. And this will, I don't know why I'm showing it to you because it just looks like a scrap of fabric right now. But it basically is kind of like a shawl that sits across the shoulders and comes down in the front. And it's got like shaping so that it will sit, you know, on the shoulder. So that's in progress. I didn't think I was gonna have enough fabric to do that. And actually, that's the other thing with this dress. I needed a lot more fabric to do that bias binding and to make like the extra sleeves and to make the pelerine, all these things which I thought of course, after I'd already bought the fabric for the project. Now this fabric I had originally gotten from Renaissance Fabrics. And they were all sold out by the time that I actually got to like working with it and realized that I needed more. So I scoured the internet. I found one place that was selling extra, this shop in Japan that was like on a Japanese e-commerce site. I had to use Google Translate, and the address entry fields were all geared towards Japanese addresses, so I ordered it and did my best, and then I wasn't even sure if it was going to show up, but luckily it did. So now I actually have a ton extra, but it gave me enough to do those bias strips on the skirt, which I was super happy. And then now that I have extra, I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm kind of thinking I might make a matching dress for Poppyseed. So we'll see. I don't even know if she would tolerate wearing a dress, but it would be super cute. Okay, so then the other thing, accessory-wise, is headwear. So I bought this bonnet kit from Timely Tresses, and it's got this pattern that has some different variations from like 1840s up through 1860s. So I've got the pattern that I can make bonnets with all of those time periods. But also in this hat box came the hat block, I believe, maybe is what this is called, or like the form. Basically, this is, you know, the bonnet that we can then decorate. So I am super excited about this. Bonnets are my new favorite thing. One, because they are so cute, and two, because then you don't have to fiddle with hairstyles as much. I mean, like, it really only has to look good from right here instead of from like the entire 360, and the hairstyling and dealing with that is like the bane of my historical costuming existence. I hate it. It takes so much time. My hair is straight, and literally every historical hairstyle looks better with your hair curled. Even if it's a hairstyle that is relatively straight, to get your hair to lay nicely, it's good if it started curled. Otherwise, you just end up with like pokey bits everywhere. You guys with straight hair, I'm sure, can relate to me. And part of me feels like I shouldn't be that concerned with it, because I feel like my ancestors who lived then would have had straight hair, and they weren't curling their hair every day to achieve a period correct look. Like, what did their hair look like? But, you know, I want it to look like a fashion plate, not like what my ancestors actually would have looked like. So, after all, we are here to play dress up. But yeah, so I've got some decisions to make. I have been doing a lot of bonnet research, which I'm going to put out a detailed video on how I did that research, because I think the whole process was really interesting. But basically, I have two main inspirations for how I want to make this bonnet. One, oh, and the other thing, I am trying to only use like leftover fabric from other projects so as to not buy anything new. I'm really trying to do that all year long, is to work through my stash and not buy any new fabric this year. So one, there is this evening bonnet in the Met collection that is made out of not black, but I think it's like a dark green silk velvet. So I have this black silk velvet. So I could make the bonnet with this black silk velvet, and I think I have enough left over to do that. If I did that, I could either leave it pretty plain and just trim it with have it just be velvet. The one example that I have is like that. Although who's to say it could have had other trimmings and stuff on it originally that, you know, have since been taken off. That happens a lot. So who's to say? But I have these fabrics that I can like use to play around with. I've got a little bit of black silk taffeta. I've got this really lovely, this was from my Outlander Annalise project. This was the skirt, so this sort of like purple Dupioni. The only thing is, it is Dupioni, which is not really something that was desirable at the time texture-wise, because it's got all the little like slubs in it. So I don't know, we'll see, but like this I think looks really nice with the black as sort of like an accent, and to help it tie in a little bit to like the colors of the dress, I think. And then if I did that too, I have just a tiny bit of this plaid silk taffeta left from when I did my Titanic outfit. I think of it now, I didn't call it this, but I think of it as my Unsinkable Molly Brown outfit, because when I went to the Titanic Museum, literally every employee was like, oh, you look like Molly Brown. So that's how I think of that project now. But not very much of this. So like maybe just some accents, maybe with the purple, you know, kind of giving prettiness there. But then, because the dress has those removable sleeves, remember? So it can go from sort of a daytime to an evening look. So then I'm thinking like, should I make two bonnets actually? If I do that, I don't know, I might like buy another one of these pre-made hat forms, just because I'm very intimidated by making the actual form myself. Although I do have the pattern, so I could make it myself, but I'd have to get all of like the materials to do that. But either way, if I buy it or make it, then I have some more options for decorations. So I have this pink silk left over from a project which I posted on my Instagram, but not on YouTube yet. It is coming. But this is from my 1790s zone front gown project. I love this pink fabric, but actually there's quite a decent amount of this left, and so part of me doesn't want to use it for the bonnet, because then I'll have even more left, but then not enough to do anything with. But then also, I don't know, I have zero ideas of what I would do with this, and it's not enough to do like a whole gown or anything. It would have to just be accents on a project, so I don't know. But I've also got this pink silk like tissue taffeta, still a decent amount left. And this was from my Chocolate Girl bonnet. So the very first project that I made when I started historical costuming, that video is up on my channel. But I could do sort of a combination of these. So I've seen a lot of fashion plates from the 1840s actually that do have pink bonnets like this with like a darker dress. And that dress, I don't know if you could see, but it does have sort of little pink accents, like little flowers on it that are almost exactly this color. But I could do like the main bonnet in this color and then have some sorts of trimmings and accents in the lighter pink. Maybe make some little flowers. I've seen some that have little like lines trimming around to accent. So that's an option there. And also, if I did that, like let's say I do the evening one and I do it just velvet and I don't use this for the evening one, I do think that it looks nice with the pinks too and helps ground it a little bit more, and maybe would help it like go together with the dress more if I did like these three. And then the third option is to get more of a straw 1840s bonnet, and then I would just trim it with ribbon and have done with it, and that would be a lot easier for the day wear version. So options there. I have yet to decide what I'm actually gonna do. I'll probably make one bonnet first before I make my mind up on what I'm gonna do with the second one. So probably will do the evening one first. But then I'm torn too because I don't have to make an evening bonnet. I don't know where I will actually wear this evening bonnet because most events that I would go to wearing this dress will be during the day. And then if I go to like, I don't know what the social etiquette was at the time for wearing these evening bonnets. Like, did you just wear it in the carriage or on the walk over to whoever's house you're having dinner at or whatever ball you're going to? Like, was it just for outdoor wear and to keep your head warm and then you took it off when you get inside? If so, I'm a little bit less interested in making it because I'm not, you know, I'm gonna like show up to whatever event I'm at and I'm gonna wanna just have it be part of my outfit, you know? So then I could go check out my lace stash, because I think pretty common for evening wear at the time was to have like your hair sort of like have these bunches of curls here, and then across the top of your head and sort of coming down to the sides have these little like lace headdress thing that like you pin on, and then it would have little like clusters of flowers and stuff. So maybe I just do the day wear bonnet and then do the lace headpiece for the evening look. Or I do all three and I just have a bonnet that I will never wear, but that seems kind of, I don't know. It'd be nice because this silk, it's like the perfect amount to do a bonnet with and not much else. Like if I don't use it for this bonnet, I don't know what else I would use it for. It probably will just sit in my stash for years and years and years and years. On the other hand, the bonnet supplies and the pre-made bonnet are not cheap. I mean, I don't know if I were to buy just this and not the entire kit, but we're talking like, I think $60, $70 for a bonnet that I'm never gonna wear. I don't know. We'll see. I'll probably make, I'm leaning towards making the pink just because there are so many fashion plates that have adorable pink 1840s bonnets with a darker gown. And it's like a color combination that I wouldn't have thought of, but I think would be super cute. And then yeah, for the evening one, raid the lace stash and make little flowers, maybe like little silk flowers to decorate it. So I don't know. We'll see. If you have opinions, thoughts on what route I should take with this, please let me know in the comments, because right now I am very indecisive about it. Oh yeah, and forgot to mention, in case you're interested in buying this Timely Tresses kit, it does also come with like all the other materials that you need to make the hat. So you just supply your fabric and like decorative items, and it comes with everything else that you need to make it. So I haven't made it yet, so I'm not gonna say I highly recommend it, but I highly recommend it.